We called it. We're only like, what, 5-6 months late for the Super Bowl? Just kidding. We are attempting to come back. Ken had a baby. My wife's been pregnant. Connor got a new job. But now we're here making
And
things better.
none of those things were why we weren't on before.
It's definitely not. I don't know why it was. We were all, I don't know. We were
Busy
all busy.
lives. That's what we're doing.
Life.
But
now we're coming back because of the new Unreal season. New season, new us. I'll have 2 months off to start the season, so I actually want to do this. Like, it'll be my hour and a half of free time throughout the week.
And I want to talk about football more, so pretty excited to do this again.
You have plenty of group chats to do that. The real reason is you want to talk to Connor more. Okay, so Ken and I, since Connor's not here, we did something that he would hate, but that we love. And by love, I mean it was my idea, and Ken said sure. We ranked the teams based on our interpretation of like what it means to be like what team do you want to be a fan of? Which right now would be the best to be a fan of. So we had ChatGPT and Gemini. We did a cross between the two, actually. Create some visual slides for us. So we'll see how it did as we walk through this.
And if you think that AI makes stuff for dummies easier, we are evidence that it does not. This took us, I'm not kidding, probably 45 minutes to get together, but you guys got a visual and you don't have to look at our ugly faces the whole time.
We played with AI for longer than we prepped for this conversation. And
100%, without a doubt.
Off hotter because Kansas City Chiefs, do you know what they're, were they were 15-2 last year? 70. I thought they weren't. I can't believe that I forgot that. It's been a while since we talked football. Anyways, so we have teams broken down into groups of 4. Whenever we decide to stop talking, that's how far we'll get in the list. Don't know out of 32 how far that will be. Anyways, so these ranks are my ranks, not Ken's. We have average attendance and record listed also. So starting out, I feel like the first 4 are easy. Chiefs and Ravens obviously just have the best 2 teams at the moment, in my opinion. Like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, great coaching, great structure and proof, and they can do anything. And then the Cowboys and Eagles, it sucks because everyone knows I hate the Cowboys, but it's like those are 2 permanent fan bases, and their teams are good enough that they're interesting. Just drives me crazy that the Eagles are chaos, firing their coaches even when they're good, and the Cowboys suck. But here they are. If I had to be a fan, like if I was born new and I could be a fan of everyone, it's like, yeah, I want my team on 4:30 every Sunday. It's obvious.
Well, me and Phil did this a little bit differently. I looked at essentially the last somewhere 35 to 40 years of football and said, okay, how good is this team at managing a franchise? And I really, really hate to say that Dallas Cowboys, they should not be up here. Nobody likes Dallas fans. Dallas fans do not like Dallas fans. But the one thing we looked up how much revenue and how much money that these teams make. And the Dallas Cowboys had pretty close to or almost double the amount of revenue last year from compared to the next highest team. I can't remember. I think it was actually Washington. But point being, like, they have brand new stadium. They make tons and tons of money off of it. And it was so sad because that means that Jerry Jones probably isn't going to change anything, because why would he? Because even when he completely messes up the franchise, he makes a boatload of money. Dallas Cowboys fans have showed that no matter what, they are going to watch games and spend money on their team, no matter how many playoff games they decide to not win. So
like, listen, though, the thing is, I know the average attendance shouldn't go, and being that popular shouldn't go too much into many of these teams. Jets are second and third for the record at about 78,000 fans. But the Cowboys have 93,000 average attendance per game. You are like literally you're 15-16% bigger in fans on an average day than the next biggest teams. I don't know how. Like, I don't know how you can't be like, yeah, that I want to be, when you go into a place, you want to be friends with everyone there by having similar interests. Be a Cowboys fan. It's probably the easiest thing to do. You'll have the most enemies, but you also have the most friends.
America's team. And yeah, guess what? They're on 430, and Tony Romo loves talking about. Some people dislike Tony Romo saying games. Yeah, no, I'm still all about it. Still like the guy. So,
anyways, Chiefs Ravens. Would you move any? Like, do you feel like those 2 are the 2 best?
So for my rankings, I kind of lumped together a team with Kansas City that's not on here, but is New England Patriots. Now, it's that New England is not fun to watch right now. Guys, they had almost, or was it over 20 years of Bill Belichick and almost 20 years of Tom Brady. They deserve. It doesn't matter what they do for a bit. They won 6 Super Bowls, but Kansas City is right in the middle of their dynasty. Pat Mahomes, as long as Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid are there, they're going to be a competitive team. When you put together like decades long Super Bowl contenders, not just making playoffs, but being Super Bowl contenders, then I mean, it has to be up there. They went 15-2. Their games were not very fun to watch. Pat Mahomes was a very average quarterback during the year last year, except for one stat that Phil says isn't a quarterback stat, but wins. Guess what? It's a lot easier to win when Pat Mahomes is your quarterback. So Baltimore Ravens. Oh,
I'll cover my take on the Patriots when we get to them. They're so far down the list, we might not even get there.
And that's why I had to bring them up, because I'm lumping them together because franchise success, long-term dynasties. Guess what? That's higher up on my lists. You want to talk about Baltimore?
I think we're good. Do you have anything besides like they're just always good, well coached, well run? I don't know what to say.
They have I mean, it's all about the front office. They always put together competitive teams, whether it was a completely amazing, possibly best defensive team that we ever saw versus some amazing Joe Flacco run Super Bowl run in the mid 2010s. But then what they replaced him with, Lamar Jackson, who is so, I mean, I just feel like he's so underrated. He should have had his 3rd MVP last year. They just put together winning team after winning team. How they do it a little differently. When they do bad, it's because they have tons of injuries and they still make the playoffs. So, I mean, once again, you're putting, they don't have necessarily that face in dynasty. They never had like a Tom Brady. Lamar, he's on his way there. He could potentially, it's different. His style isn't really as much for longevity, but, they're still right up there with Kansas City.
Yeah. Let's go on then. We don't have all this time in the world. We burned it playing with ChatGPT. All right, next 4. And honestly, I feel like these 4, I feel better at this moment if I'm these 4 teams, except for the 49ers. I feel like they're trending down, not up. But the Rams, the Texans, Chargers, feel like they're young, up-and-coming teams that could break up into that top threshold if things start looking better for them. San Fran should be number 2 on this list. But the bottom line is it was rough last year. They're a physical team that's getting old and beat up. And now they're, not being sold for parts, but Juwan Jennings isn't happy. Deebo Samuel just left. So we will see like how they go forward. I believe in Kyle Shanahan, but I get nervous that they're going to fall into the 9-10 win trap like the Steelers do. And then just, continually trick down this list we have. But I don't know. The Rams, Texans, and Chargers, I think it's like a perfect group of 3 where when you look at them, it's like Rams got Stafford. He's a little bit old. But other than that, the rest of the team, I guess the defense is young for the Rams. And you got Puka Nacua as a young offensive weapon. The Texans, CJ Stroud going all in. Just absolutely looking great. I feel like they've taken a lot of shots and they've missed a lot. And they're very inconsistent. But hey, they traded Deshaun Watson and got 3 first-round picks for them. It's probably one of the best moves any franchise has made. And then the Chargers now have the other Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. They're in LA. I know they're the baby brother in LA, and they're kind of the black sheep whenever they play at home. It doesn't really matter. But I still think being a fan of the Chargers, they're that they're the little brother that you like, that you get like a little cult following for. Like if you follow Zach Lowe, he's a big fan of the Mets, and you feel an extra special connection to him when he talks to other Mets fans. So even there's fewer Chargers fans, I think I would be happier if I was a Chargers fan and found another one. It would be like, finding a needle in a haystack, I guess. I got no other better analogy.
Yeah, I can't believe you have the Chargers this high. You realize that they don't have home games, right?
You're talking to the guy who was Brandon Staley all day long, even when he was there. I've loved the Chargers for so long.
San Diego also loved them. And if they were still in San Diego, they would have a little bit more of a following. Los Angeles, they were the ones putting robots in seats. You remember those fake fake fans they had there? the Rams and the Chargers both moved to LA, very similar times, and then guess what? One of them goes to the Super Bowl. Who do you think's going to be the favorite in that city? But the Chargers have put together such good teams as well. Like once again, like they had that Phillip Rivers, LaDainian Tomlinson, where like they had like one of the best offenses forever, and they just couldn't put it together in the playoffs. And then they go through very very small growing pains and find Justin Herbert, who just continues to impress. By the way, his over under for total touchdowns for the year is 21.5, which is ridiculous. But
because Najee Harris is going to steal them all, baby. He doesn't need to see the end zone to get in there.
I say,
thank God we weren't talking over the summer so people couldn't hear that from me.
Oh my God, that was horrible. But no, I'm sorry. You need to have fans that have fandom, and I just don't see it with the Chargers. It's that saying. If you're from LA, no one's actually from LA. And guess what? They brought their hometown teams with them, and it's not the Chargers. So
listen, there is some extreme bias here in this section specifically, where Ken is going to lean towards cold weather teams because that unites people in a special way when they go to games and they tailgate in the freezing cold at 8 a.m. for no reason. And I'm over here, like, I want to be able to go to a game and be comfortable and not have the like, why would I go to a game when I could sit warm in my house?
Wow, yeah. Houston, LA, San Francisco. Look at that.
Like it's all about comfort to me. And I will not go, like, starting in late October, I will not be at a Bengals game because that's too cold to sit for 4 hours when I could sit at home. So you know what?
I'll tell you,
more opportunities to go to the game in LA and Houston and LA or San Fran.
I had San Francisco as my number 3 overall team, actually. Because I mean, first off, they went from Joe Montana to Steve Young, and now they've put together these successful.
Don't forget about this third step, Jeff Garcia.
So Jeff Garcia is the worst quarterback that you had. Isn't that bad? By the way, for a really long time before Baker Mayfield, he was the best quarterback from Cleveland since they came back.
Passer rating, remember?
Since they came back. Yeah, I that's fine. I'll remember that. But they have put together winning teams. It's the same thing. It's either good quarterbacks, good offense, Jerry Rice. Then you get later on, they just put together dominant defense with some average quarterback with amazing like pieces and parts around it. Now that whole where we have to finally pay these people is starting to get to them. We'll see what Brock Purdy really is, but there's still a lot of talent on that team. We're like, oh man, Debo's gone. He was kind of going down. Ayuk's kind of hurt. It's like, oh, they still have George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and Ricky Pearsall looked all right last year. And Juwan Jennings, really had a breakout year last year. Like, that's still good weapons for a team that was supposed to kind of fall apart. I don't know. I'm most interested in them. They have, interesting longevity. They have, dynasty Hall of Famers, arguably one of the GOATs, the GOAT before Tom Brady. So definitely all in on the San Francisco franchise.
All right, let's move on. All right, so now here, I feel like it's a little bit controversial and people are going to think some of these teams should be higher. But listen, I think the Commanders have finally done a great job, hit a home run with Jaden Daniels. He's going to be he might be the best quarterback in the NFC for a long time with how good he's looked. But you can see average attendance is terrible. All you hear is one, they don't know how to name their football team. They've gone under 4 different name changes. And apparently, President Trump is out here requesting that they go back to the Redskins. And he's going to withhold federal funding. Stories you really are interested in and want to track. I'm just kidding. We will not follow that at all. But like, again, average attendance is low. The stadium is crappy. You hear reports of it like literally falling apart. And that obviously that's why they're building a new one. But I don't know. There just seems like such a dark cloud around it. And the reason I put him up this high is literally because I'm like, they had a rookie quarterback take him to the NFC Championship last year. Great position to be in. We'll go back and forth on this slide instead of I go with all 4. So what do you think about Commanders?
So, I was going to talk about the other ones. Commanders.
If you got nothing, we can just move on.
It's a lot of TBD on them. They're really going all in. It could be a really interesting year for them. You talk about, the history and longevity that I'm talking about with these other ones. Pittsburgh and Denver definitely have it, and then the Bills have it the exact opposite. They would be way higher in my rankings if you. I mean, you can't just what they do to their fans. Oh my God, they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. Like, I don't want people to forget about
Do
that.
you count their losses to the Chiefs as Super Bowls? Because, like, I mean, everyone says they should have won a Super Bowl if they just beat
It's
the
just
Chiefs 3 years in a
it's just
row. Like,
playoff pain. Like the Buffalo Bills and playoff pain. Like, the difference between them and Cleveland's we never even get to the playoffs to be disappointed. They save all their disappointment for the playoffs.
you also have to live in Buffalo, man. Like, that is not a big fan base all throughout the world, all throughout the country. They're in Buffalo. I love Josh Allen. Great for him. But they're the
Uh,
reason, actually, the tush push has not been canceled. Because if you watch their playoff game, Josh Allen couldn't fall a yard 4 times in a row.
but so when you go and talk about the longevity and having that history, freaking Steelers, man. They're just of course 80s were amazing for them, but they're perennial playoff teams, and like people are holding that against me, like, oh, they haven't won a playoff game since was it 2017? I'm like, they've been there. Like, when
There's
the
worse things
Giants
to do.
when the Giants made their playoff runs, like they were like borderline wild card teams, and they were just like, hey, you just got to get in, and maybe magic happens. And people for the Steelers are like, well, they suck because all they do is get in.
Is there any
No,
magic? No, Steelers ain't doing anything special.
the magic is that they get there without quarterbacks recently. I mean, hey, they get one more game, like awesome. But the Broncos, once again, they've just continued to put together these championship like caliber teams in different eras. It's easy, so easy to be a Denver Broncos fan. Also, the Mile High Stadium, it's got that uniqueness. None of the players can breathe up there. It's real. Any of the players with sickle cell trait can't play there. Um, but no, the fan base
Doctor
is
laughing
great.
at medical disorders.
That's
Great
right.
job.
Laughing at these these guys who still make it to the NFL with the sickle
Too
cell trait,
soft.
pretty
Can't play
completely.
because they can't breathe. Gosh.
Nothing soft about players that make it to the NFL with sickle cell trait. Let's be clear. But great longevity, great history. If there's a little bit more, they're just not there with those other franchises. And if Pittsburgh wasn't, the bane of the Cleveland existence, maybe they'd be higher.
So I like the Broncos. They they have a good history. They're always aggressive. They got the Walmart owners now, so like they have the money to back them. Make great moves like get rid of Russell Wilson, bring in Sean Payton, and pay extraordinary sums for these people. But it's like the Bo Nix, man, and I know he was good, and I admit it, but I just can't buy it. I can't buy the situation yet entirely. I don't like their playmakers much. I don't know. Like whenever I look at the Broncos team, it doesn't feel right, and I don't like
Mm-hmm.
it. They have a good defense, but I don't know. It doesn't seem fun and exciting for a team that's in the middle of Denver, Colorado. Everyone's blazing it up. It should be more exciting.
They're all real chill there.
That's it.
I will tell you that I did one like quick like fantasy football draft just to kind of see where like people are, like, and it was like one of like the best drafts I've ever had, super highly rated, and I was gonna send it to the group chat, but it had Bo Nix as the quarterback, and I couldn't possibly like bare my face again if
Me and
afterwards
Connor would
I
have
would have got
ripped you off,
destroyed.
despite being like, dude, Bo Nix is going to be like a top 7 quarterback next year because of
And
like
like
rushing yards and touchdowns. And be like, no, I'm not doing it.
everything else was so good, and I was like, I really want to, but I just can't do it. I can't do it to myself.
But yeah, no, Buffalo is only down here right now because I think they got great fans. They got a new stadium coming. I just can't live in Buffalo, so that's where I'm at.
Oh, that's part of those Lake Erie boys. I got to tell you, Buffalo is a football city. I mean, Cleveland's there, Detroit's definitely there too. But it's just something where if that team wasn't in Buffalo, then besides the chicken wings, no one would go to Buffalo ever.
All right, let's keep going. So, for the record, I'm just going to cover right now. 15, 16, 17 is the NFC North pile. You don't see Minnesota, but they are number 17 because ChatGPT only broke it up into fours. We will cover that and as a whole chunk at one moment. But Seattle, Miami, I feel like these are two teams that are exquisitely average, man. They come out and they will be very pedestrian. And but Miami has terrible attendance. Apparently, Seattle has bad attendance. I didn't know that. But I feel like
The whole
being
12th man isn't showing up.
I was about to say being part of the 12th man is one of the reasons. Like I used to have Sarah loved the Seahawks because of the colors, the lime green and the blue. And I wore a Seahawks hat that we got throughout Cincinnati. I got like 4 or 5 people pumped to see like a Seattle Seahawks hat out of nowhere. No. I get more Browns fans. Tell you what, no one says anything about the Bengals in Cincinnati. You'll see they're pretty low for that reason. But then Miami, it's like I know there's a lot of better things to do in Miami, but I would love to be able to go to a game, and the biggest problem is, I might be too hot if I sit in the sunny side, like that, or a December game where I could go. I also think they finally leaned into their big advantage of we can play with speed because we don't have to deal with weather all the time. So I love the team and the structure right now. So I think it's a great team to root for. I love watching Miami. They put up 72 2 years ago on Denver or something like that, where their players were just running past everyone. That's the kind of fun and excitement I want. I want to see a team that can get 50 points.
You're talking about the 2023 Miami Dolphins. You are not talking about the 2024 Miami Dolphins. And you're just hoping that they come back.
I'm sorry that my quarterback was dead. Like, you got one.
And even when he came back, he also didn't really come back.
Yeah, if he gets one concussion, he's done for the year. Like he can't see for the rest of the year, even if he passes that test.
They put with the exception of the Browns, they put the worst viewing experience out there last year, and you're just completely hiding that. Now Miami,
I don't want to say anything. They put out a Pro Bowl quarterback in Tyler Huntley. Ken, you always like stats like that.
Miami is the antithesis. I can't say it.
Antithesis.
Of the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills would like die, but they will go and shovel out their stadium for the Miami like won't put on the air conditioning to go see them. They like they had Dan Marino and they really didn't put anything around him. See, I had more of that longevity thing. And between that, like there's been nothing. And I really want Mike McDaniel to like be a good team. I really want to watch that explosive speed, the Achane, Tyreek Hill, and like Jalen Waddle experience should be fun to watch. But it just wasn't last year. I can't get behind you here. I'm sorry, Miami fans are way down on my list. But by the way, Detroit fans way up. Sorry.
Look how low that attendance is. Like this is the city of Detroit. Detroit ain't a great place, man. Like, well, and you just lost your offensive coordinator. Like the people that
they've made it through that 0-16 year, and they still have more than a handful of fans. This is great. But it's the same thing. Like Detroit's a football city. They have a back. I love Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is the Detroit mentality before he actually made it to Detroit. I'm a big fan of what they put together. It took a while. But by the way, Green Bay is my number 1 overall fandom team.
I was about to say, seeing 78,000, I'm like, oh crap, that is just below New York and Dallas. I'm way off on 16. See, ChatGPT screwed up the order. I put 1 there and it threw a 6 on it.
So Green Bay is not, I mean, it's barely a suburb-sized city, and they still have amazing attendance. The fact that it's a publicly owned team, and people are like dying to like people are on year and year like 15-20 year like wait lists to just get a stock in the team. They have this great history. They don't have a city, and they are still one of like the most watched, most memorable thing. Talk about putting a team out there. By the way, going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to, by the way, Jordan Love's at least interesting. No matter what you think of him, you're giving him a chance. I don't know. I don't know why they're so low on this list, Phil.
I mean, really want to? It's because I don't like Matt LaFleur. So we grew up.
Matt LaFleur is a winner.
Dude, just listen. We grew up Packers fans, and I love Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, exciting, putting up 40+ touchdowns. Then he comes in and he's like, I'm going to run the ball 30 times a game and I'm going to pass the ball 15 times. And it makes me sick. And I just want the team to be fun and exciting. And I don't know. They feel like Pittsburgh, but but I guess everything I would say about Pittsburgh that is like pro for them would also be pro for Green Bay. It's really the living in the middle of nowhere. Like there's, like you said, there is absolutely nothing there. I don't want to eat at the same 3 restaurants. But I guess being a Green Bay fan is a national thing.
One more like just medical thing that popped up. The suicide rate in Wisconsin had a direct correlation with Aaron Rodgers' injuries when he was there. You talk about die-hard fans.
That's so terrible.
No,
that's
like worst. You talk football is their. I mean, it's their culture. Period.
You talked me into it. Green Bay has got to be on that first slide. Like,
thank you.
I put 16 out of like I don't like them at this moment, and they're a middle of nowhere. Like the weather isn't good. I don't like the Packers. I'm not looking forward to what they have in the coming years. Even though, like, I agree, LaFleur is he's like a Tomlin. He's going to win 10 games a year, but I don't think he can win playoff games the way he does it.
So real quick, my top 3. Number 1 was Green Bay. Number 2 was Baltimore. Number 3 was San Francisco.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right. So the only one we really disagreed on was Green Bay to this point, right? All right. So you win. You've convinced me. They should be they're ahead of. They're on that first page. They're number 5. But then we go over to Minnesota, and I think Minnesota is just Detroit, but in a different city. And I know Minneapolis is way better than Detroit, but I feel like the Detroit fans are better than the Minnesota fans. And Kevin O'Connell, while he is a phenomenal coach, he doesn't bring the same excitement to the team that Dan Campbell does. He's much more surgical, much more Kyle Shanahan, where it's like, you're going to like this team because they win. You're not going to like this team because I'm 90% sure they would die for their coach. So like, that's why I think Minnesota is below Detroit, because there's less of that, diehard fandom.
Yeah, I had them lower, and this is the one team where I was like, this might just be me not knowing Minnesota fans, or like they're interested. Like at least, I mean, they have the Timberwolves and the Twins. That's not really much. Like I don't know if they're like a diehard football city. I just and you know, they had Randy Moss. Like when I think of the Minnesota Vikings, it's Randy Moss and not much else. You know, they just don't have the history. They put together some decent teams. I think they're just missing that it factor for me. I don't know.
They take chances. They've been exciting offensively. I don't know. I like them. And Marshall Erickson, most famous Minnesota fan, if you watch How I Met Your Mother. All right, now let's get to it. New England Patriots. Why are they not top 5? Because as of right now, everything good they did with Tom Brady has steadily looked more like Tom Brady is just that good at football, and it's less about how good of an organization they are. Don't get me wrong, I love Drake May, but the coaching decisions they've made and the front office just behavior from Robert Kraft down has not been good since like Tom Brady has been like, yeah, I'm not here and I'm not gonna bail everything out. Bill Belichick is a genius. Bill Belichick was great, but it looks more and more like that era was just like hitting 2 home runs than it was the Patriots being this wonderful organization and franchise. And I'll say it's a lot like the Chicago Bulls right now, where the Bulls since Jordan haven't done anything exciting except for when they got the first pick and nailed it on Derrick Rose for a couple of years before his knees gave out. So I am just not in on the Patriots being this like amazing organization that I could buy into. The fans like people complain about the Patriot fans. Seems uncool. So not my group.
Boston fans are the worst because it's just they just win all the time. They're just so used to winning that when they don't win, like they get all mad and stuff, or like they there's something less interesting because by the way, the Red Sox are just fine, and if not, the Celtics are just like
mm-hmm.
They're not putting up a dynasty. Like that's where they're mad.
Conference finals.
Like no, they're just I mean, big sports town. I just feel like I don't want to say fair weatheredness with it, but you know, I just they lose interest when they're not as good. Now, with that being said, they had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick for so long. Guess what? Like, I mean, that's stamped at the beginning of this century, and it's gonna stay that way for a long time. That's why I had them up there. I mean, yeah. Guess what? They can be bad for a bit. They they're not going to take away their 6 Super Bowls. It's a ridiculous stat. I think it uh, was it for 20 years? The only time, or they missed the playoffs like one time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but when Tom Brady was there and it was when he was hurt. I mean,
They still won 10 games or something like that.
yeah, Matt Castle, they gave Matt Castle some money for the rest of his life. Like, awesome. Good for you guys. But, um, no, great franchise. They're, uh, a great 2 decades for a franchise. There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna gloss over Tampa Bay because like I don't want to admit that Baker Mayfield is. I guess he's on the back nine, but it's really like this is a location thing for me. Like I'd rather be in Tampa than a lot of the following cities, and you'll see why. But yeah, I also like Tampa Bay has found a way to be competitive or at least interesting for a lot of the time. Like even when they were struggling, like Fitzmagic was exciting. And then the Bears. So this is a bet on Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson to save them. Obviously, they have the worst attendance according to this graph. They have not been good, but now they got the quarterback that was the quarterback to get the gold star, and then they got the coach that was the best available that everyone wanted. So now they got to put it together. Ryan Poles just got an extension, so he has confidence to like do build the team as he sees or in Ben Johnson's vision. But I don't know if he can. So we'll see what happens going forward. Putting him at 20, I think, is generous, given that like I talk to people from Chicago all the time, dude. There's a lot of like disdain towards the Bears despite them being fans. So I don't know. This is fingers crossed on the way up. What do you think?
So this kind of goes in with the great fans, horrible franchise. Like, I mean, just the worst front office, and they just continue to not put stuff together for the fans. They do have a decent amount of fans, and I guess they don't go. Judging by this, they don't go to the games, but I don't blame them. When they did have a dominant defense, they did the worst thing a team could do and put Rex Grossman in the Super Bowl. Like, the NFL didn't deserve that. NFL, like, football fans did not deserve to watch Rex Grossman in a Super Bowl. Um,
They said Tom, or this is Peyton Manning's like, hey, dude, you deserve it. You finally beat Brady. Go ahead, take your Super Bowl.
but I mean, they just continually don't do themselves favors. I do like the fact, that they're going all in with Caleb Williams. They're trying. They're getting what they can around him, with the exception of an offensive line. But maybe you won't need it.
All right, let's go on. And here we go. These next two hurt me. Um, Bengals and Joe Burrow, and Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. So the Bengals are so low because all you hear is like these reports that one, the ownership is terrible. They took forever to get deals done with Chase and Higgins and Burrow, and it cost them a ton of money. And now they can't afford Hendrickson. Their first round pick isn't even showing up to camp. And then the report comes out that, oh, they have the worst rated and worst quality food of any NFL franchise. It's just like everything it says is like, dude, you got Joe Burrow, who is the only quarterback who regularly goes toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes and, can go 50-50 or even plus on that. And here you are being super cheap, picking and choosing where to spend your money instead of going all in and supporting the team, which I hate. And then the Jaguars took Trevor Lawrence. We talked quarterback franchise value a few years ago when he came out, or a year after that. And I was all in. Top five quarterback has to be. Top five quarterback has to be. And whatever has happened in Jacksonville, it's completely gutted it. I hope who is it? Liam Cohen can come in and after turning down the job and then taking the job and just utter chaos around Jacksonville always. Again, similar to the Bears, can an A graded offensive coordinator come in, save your your A plus grade prospect and turn the everything around? I don't know. So you get a low grading in this 2021-22 area because of it.
I completely agree with the Cincinnati Bengals thing. I just don't ever hear too much about them in any way besides ownership's cheap. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Bengals ownership, like their primary income is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think that's pretty unique to them, but puts them at a bad situation. But I mean, they landed on good draft picks, and it's just I just don't see them capitalizing. I mean, putting together like that defense last year to go with that offense was number one. I mean, it did make for fun games to watch, even though like them on defense was pretty brutal to watch. You're just seeing just blown coverages all over. Like they're making like bad offenses look very good.
Defensive coordinator in the league that could limit Patrick Mahomes and said, "This is your fault," and fired him. Like, that's how bad the players were.
Yeah. The Jaguars, that's another one where I'm just maybe not as familiar with their fan base. Maybe I just haven't heard of them. Maybe they don't exist very much. There's better things to do in Jacksonville, but they do at least have an interesting. I'm interested in Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they put all their chips in. They paid him. You know, it'd be interesting to see if they can do it between him, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas. It's like, hey, that could be interesting. They're still a relatively like newer franchise. They don't have that history. Still love Mark Brunell. That was cool. That was fun to watch. But
Mark Brunell, Fred Taylor.
Yeah. The one team I did want to talk about were the Atlanta Falcons. And I was definitely a like 10 to 13-year-old like front runner for them when they made it to the Super Bowl that one time, and was real interested in them. Oh, huge Julio Jones fan. We can't, what they do to fans. 28-3, it's not going away. And there were like several different times in that game, a lot of them actually, where it was just, hey, if they just throw the ball out of bounds right now, or they just go down, let the clock run and kick a field goal, they win. This is it. Like they were, it was the hardest game to lose, like the hardest championship game ever to lose, and they lost it, or for a team to actually lose, and they did it. So it's just hard to be. I mean, their fans deserve better, no matter what you say. That was a hard one.
Like I know people are all in on like the, they paid Kirk Cousins and they drafted their guy because they liked Michael Penix, but it's like, I don't know. It feels disorganized in how they're approaching this team. The defense, they spent money on the defense. The defense isn't there. The front office just hasn't been good. Like the reason that their record comes, out reasonable every year is because of the division they're in. It's not because they're actually good. So I don't know. It just seems like Atlanta. If I'm in Atlanta, I'm not happy. I'm a fan of the Falcons. It's not the place I want to be.
I'm fine with that.
Now, talk about a place I do want to be, Carolina. Let me tell you, that seems like I would love to be. I think it's Charlotte is where they're located. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to live in Charlotte. So got some upwards bias there. The problem is I don't believe that much in Bryce Young.
This is just a geography test for Phil. This is like, hey, where would you want to live?
There's a lot of bias based on where they're located. Who's their head coach? I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but
the previous Tampa Bay guy.
Yes.
Canales.
Dave Canales. Connor absolutely loves him. They showed signs of life last year after Bryce Young, looked terrible. Like he looked like he couldn't be played. Andy Dalton went in for 2 games. Then Bryce Young figured out how to play football again. So I liked the upside they showed. I think they're still a long way away from being a good team. So it's like when you get in these like middle areas where it's like the Lions are a good team right now and the Panthers aren't good. But a few years ago, the Panthers were a good team. The Lions weren't. Like time will definitely flip that ordering based on whoever's the hot team. But for right now, I can't do anything more with them than just say, hey, I want to live in Carolina.
They're no team. I have nothing to say.
Nothing.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now the pros to the Jacksonvilles and the Houstons, which Houston was way above. But this is why Jacksonville has some hope. Because Indy and Tennessee are sitting here, and I don't believe in anything they have going on. Not a big Cam Ward guy for Tennessee. I'm not a big I think Dan Jones is the guy right now in Indy, according to reports. Like, it's not even Anthony Richardson. That's how bad Anthony Richardson is. So I am just 100% out on those franchises. I sat at dinner with the guy I work with who's a big Giants fan, and he straight up said, he's like, we were debating who's more miserable, a Jets fan, a Giants fan, or a Browns fan. That's just at the table. And he goes, the Browns and the Jets fan have continual misery compared to the Giants, who just have way worse points like throughout everything. It's like the Giants had Daniel Jones. They made the playoffs, and then they thought it was a good idea to give him money. Like that, they watched him play all the time and thought, "Hey, you deserve $100 million, but we're also going to get rid of Saquon." And it's like when you don't have a team, you go and you draft Saquon. It's just complete misses, is what he said. I'm like, okay, that's actually pretty fair. It's like when the Browns do things, I don't have hope and optimism, and then they make a terrible decision. It's like they're just doing whatever they do, and it's always a mess. And then the Raiders are down here just because they I don't know. People seem to like the Raiders. I don't believe in. They don't have a quarterback still, right? Like I don't believe in anything they do. Pete Carroll is a culture setter, but he's like 70 years old. I don't want that. I don't want my people eating butterscotches and going to bed early.
the the Raiders is a tough one because that huge fan base, in Oakland, and then they just jump ship. And I feel like Las Vegas is kind of like LA, where it's, do you have fans? Do you have Raiders fans in Las Vegas, or do you have something going on and you're in Las Vegas? But they have a pretty rough history, just not putting it together either. The only counter argument with the Giants, I mean, it's like you can't not avoid those ups. I mean, Eli Manning put together 2 amazing playoff runs when that is his career. That is the only ups of his, like.
He put together Hall of Fame runs. Like that's legitimately what he did, because he would be in the Hall of Fame.
Love the argument of should Eli or should he not be in the Hall of Fame? Because you look at his stats, you go, I really don't know. But you're like, hey, the big one. 2 Super Bowl wins.
2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady. Like that's just the cherry on top.
And not just that, but he played really well in those Super Bowls. And it's like
historic throws,
I mean, yeah.
The helmet catch.
I do love that, like, for his last game, like, he got benched for Daniel Jones and goes in and, like, completely, like, just, like, balls out. And he's like, all right, that's cool, I'm out. Big fan of him. He's definitely riding like the Peyton coattails too, with like the Manning cast. I love the Manning cast.
The first season of the Manning cast was better when it was like they seemed more into it and more like
they do a lot of like talking with the guests.
Yeah, now it's like about the guests. I'm like, oh come on. Anyways, all right, let's go on. I think
it's fine. I think I really wanted to focus on the bottom here.
Everyone loves this stuff. All right, so.
You got 3 right for sure. I don't know if like the Arizona being dead last. Can you talk about why is Arizona dead last for you?
Okay, Arizona is dead last because they have terrible attendance. Beyond the Bengals, they are known for being extremely cheap. Larry Fitzgerald has talked about it a lot when he's gone on shows and how terrible like the culture was there and everything. Let's get geography out of the way. It's freaking hot in Arizona. I don't want to live there.
It is too hot.
But it also seems like I don't like their coaching. I don't like their decision making. I don't like their players. There is not like I like Marvin Harrison, but that was a complete whiff by my part. Kyler Murray doesn't seem like the answer, and they paid him a ton of money. Like putting the Call of Duty clause in his contract or whatever that was. Like, come on. It just seems like an organization that's like a mess. That's like we're gonna do these things because we kind of have to or we feel like it. But they hired who is it? He was the defensive coordinator for I can't remember. Man, I should know all this stuff about coaches. You can tell this is why we were gone for 6 months, man. We were trying to like completely delete our whole brains. But anyways, that's why
Jonathan Gannon. Yeah. Is that right?
The Eagles.
He's still there.
Yep.
Oh God.
It's because they turned it on at the end of last year, and I'm just like, dude, I don't see what this team is. They have a bad division too to be in, like Rams, 49ers, Seahawks. You don't want to go against Darnold, Purdy, and Stafford. So I don't know. I am just 100% like I don't see anything good about the Cardinals and the Saints. Now, I know we have talked about like this is supposed to be a future look, and right now they are sitting screwed because of all the money they gave to Drew Brees and all how they went all in on him, and then they gave all the money to Derek Carr, and now he's gone too.
So I
So it's
wouldn't
like,
just blame it on Drew Brees.
dude,
Of
this is
all of their moves, like paying Drew Brees is not the worst one.
so they are 3 years away from being a functional franchise again. I don't even know who their quarterback is. I think it's is it Spencer Rattler or that the Notre Dame guy? I can't remember. Um anyways, so I am just this is their low point. And I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, and that is to be second last instead of dead last for the next 3 years.
So the Saints is an interesting one because every time I make the argument to Phil that I go, hey, the NFL salary cap is made to be manipulated so it doesn't destroy teams. And I always jokingly I text him, salary cap does not exist unless you're in New Orleans. That because it's made so that when you burn it down and rebuild, it doesn't completely kill you, and it favors doing that in future. And the Saints are like, listen, I know that's how it works, and we're going to just do the opposite. We're we're going to live in like now.
This rollover cap space clause you have? We're not going to use that. We're going to flood the gates every year and try to push the payroll limit.
The rollover cap space is the absolute most ridiculous thing that is just so favorable to just rebuild. I've talked about with Phil where it's like, because it all came because we're like, how are the 49ers able to afford all of these players? They're like, oh, they just didn't pay anyone for so long. Browns kind of did something and then they really, really messed it up. We're going to get there in a second. But the Saints completely just, they just don't want to do it. And they're the only team that is just completely screwing themselves over with that. Now, Drew Brees was fun. It was awesome when they had Drew Brees and no defense. Those were great games to watch, but they don't have that anymore. And I love Alvin Kamara, but man, you need more than Alvin Kamara out there.
So let's go. Jets Browns.
Jets Browns. First off, this is my last and second last. However you want to put it in any order.
So be honest. Like, are you biased negative as a Browns fan against the Browns?
Well, because I feel
like there's so many Browns fans, and like I swear I wear Browns gear around Cincinnati. I get more Browns love than I do Cincinnati. Like if I was in a Cincinnati shirt.
So my favorite interview of all time was when they were talking to LeBron about Cleveland. He goes, oh, it's a football town. He goes, yeah, we want to, this was before he won, but he goes, we win a championship, it's going to be crazy. If the Browns win a Super Bowl, this city might burn or something. Like he's like, it's going to go crazy. It won't even be the same thing. And that's true. But when you talk about deserving better, historically, we deserve better. It's from complete letdowns in the playoffs to the 80s to the team just getting up and leaving in the 90s, come back having, I don't even know how many, we have 40 different starting quarterbacks since Tim Couch or Ty Detmer and Tim Couch when he came back. Then top it off, like the sprinkles on top is the Deshaun Watson trade. It wasn't good for publicity. It wasn't good for the team. It wasn't good for the future. It wasn't good for the contracts of the team owners. It black sheeped the owner of the Browns from the rest of the owners in the NFL. And it also, my favorite thing ever is the whole, Andrew Berry can't draft. I'm like, no, he actually cannot draft. We haven't had draft picks. So everyone's like, oh, fire him for this whole Quinshon Judkins. We didn't deserve this Quinshon Judkins stuff. He had a nice clean slate before this, and he just decided to get drafted and then do bad
the
stuff.
Browns.
But point being, when you talk about having the worst owners, last year, everyone knows that ownership was really forcing Stefanski to keep Deshaun Watson in there and give us unwatchable offense. Then he gets hurt. And then, we do at least have something to watch with Jameson. They take that away and they're like, you know what? Let's see what we have in this DTR, who is statistically the only one comparably bad to Deshaun Watson in the last like 20 years. Like you talk about
Nothing's
it.
better than Browns fans group chats too, where they're getting screamed at about how bad Stefanski is. It's like, no, we're actively giving him the worst option. Like you give him a player with a heartbeat, he wins Coach of the Year.
Yeah. And guess what? Like the fandom is excited about Flacco because if you just look at it, like Flacco's not good, but God, compared to what we had last year,
That's the GOAT.
it's
The greatest
so,
Browns quarterback of all time.
point being, the Browns fans are still here. So that's why I don't put us at absolute dead last.
I think Warren Sharp tweeted, it's like fourth place finishes the last 10 years. Browns 9, no other team more than 8. Jets at 7, no other team besides the Jets at 7 or more. And it's like, okay, so these two are appropriate. And the thing is, though, like, I don't know, the Jets. You had Mark Sanchez. I don't know why people were like excited about that for a minute. That was bad. And Fitzpatrick being like the only hope that you had recently is really bad. The Browns are worse though. Like in that time we had Baker Mayfield.
I think we had an 0-16 game, no, or an 0-16 season in there too. Really? Yeah, but just with the Jets, like the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, like they did it, and then they go with the kid Devontae Adams, and they do this all-in thing, and then they fire their coach after way too early, and you just knew that whatever they were going to do, you're like, oh, it's just not going to work. We talked about it so much.
Selling your soul to Aaron Rodgers was clearly a 1-year mistake that they learned quickly from.
Yeah, 1-year mistake that they turned into a 2-year mistake.
Yeah. Well, he ruptured his Achilles the very first play. Come on.
It was. Not if you're the Jets, you don't get them. But you talk about just deserving better as well. I saw the Justin Fields. He dislocated his toe today, but like I heard like non-contact injury like right away, and it's just like, of course, why wouldn't it happen to the Jets? Bit more bad luck, but.
The Jets have those sprinkles of like misery on top of it. The Browns have the active misery built into it, man. Like the unveiling of the helmet and the guy falls off the platoon or whatever, and it's a brown helmet. It looks like crap. Like, come on.
The worst part of all that isn't even the falling off. It's the fact that it was sponsored by Dude Wipes. We had this big brown helmet sponsored by Dude Wipes. I saw that and I was like, there's no way that's real. And it was.
That's an amazing fact to end on.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
so no, Browns were my number 32 team. I changed it. It was the Jets. Now it's the Browns.
Oh, there you go. I like it. Dude Wipes ruined it for you. All right. That was rougher than I was hoping. But, it's good getting off some cobwebs. We'll be better next week when Connor's here to scream at us.
Or we won't be. Come back and see.
Come back, see if we're here or not. All right. You have it there. Be a fan of the Chiefs, the Packers, I can't remember who's that, the Ravens. Don't be a fan of the Browns.
We'll be here all year.